So what do you want? You don't know who the fuck I am!
What are you doing? Get that gun away from me, psycho! No!
All right, hello everybody. Good evening. My name's Kevin MacDonald. I am the editor of Kotaku UK, which is a games website. It's pretty good. You should check it out. More importantly, we're here with the team behind Life is Strange. So first things first, who here has played any of Life is Strange? Hands up. That's pretty much everyone. Has anybody not played any of Life is Strange? Okay, good. Still some people. So we're going to have... this evening there are going to be some mild spoilers for episodes 1 and 2, but don't worry if you haven't played episode 3 yet. As it's just come out, we're not going to talk about, or these guys aren't going to talk about anything specific with regards to that, so calm your fears there. So, first up, you guys, let's have a quick chat about the core of Life is Strange, which is this rewind feature, this idea that Max, the main character, can rewind time to a certain extent and redo things she's done before. So what were the decisions behind, was this always at the roots of the game? Was this put in at a later stage? What were the reasons for this rewind mechanic's existence?
For those who have played Remember Me, there was some sequences called Memory Remix. It was a great pleasure to design those scenes, and a lot of players love those scenes when you have to remix the memories, and those small changes in the memories have huge consequences. So we wanted to expand this concept to a whole game, so we start to discuss about what kind of game, what genre will be the best, and a modern adventure game come very quickly because we wanted to talk about all those choice and consequences aspects on a game. So we very quickly go to an adventure game.
Yes, because really having a coming of age story and a game about choice and consequences taking place into a high school setting, it was really for us a great setting to have this, because it's the time of your life when you are taking decisions that really will decide who you will be later as an adult. I think that everyone could think that at a point, if we could go back to high school, there would be decisions we could change, and that could change our entire life.
Oh, yes.
and really, that's the way we decided to create the main character of Maxine Caulfield. We started to create, to think about several possible characters, but quickly, Max was the character that was the most working with the rewind mechanism, with the choice and consequences system. That's why we designed her as a shy teenage girl that still has issues going forward in her life. She has issues taking decisions. She's always questioning her choices, always looking to the past, like the way she's using a Polaroid camera instead of a digital camera. And we really wanted the main character to resonate with the gameplay power, because it's really for us what's important in a video game, that everything is cohesive. When you really need to have a good blend of characters, gameplay, story, and stuff like that. And even for the other characters, when in Life is Strange we have a various cast of relatable and colorful characters. And at first, when we created them, we started for episode 1 by using known archetypes. It was really our goal to have those archetypes to use as entry points for the players. You know, we have the bullies, the beach girl, the nerd, the jocks, the football players, etc. So really, those characters that you have seen in teen movies, in TV shows, etc. Those were really a good entry points. But really quickly, in the next episode, we are starting to change them, make them evolve, and twist them in a way that will surprise the player. Because, like in real life, nobody is really completely black or white, and we are really playing with these shades of grey for the characters. And those characters really, in Life is Strange, we really wanted to use all those characters to speak about themes that are maybe not always dealt with in video games. And really, video game is a really strong media, and it's been done in some games, in indie games, but I think we are dealing in Life is Strange with mature themes that are not really often dealt with in video games, like I would say, like social media bullying or domestic violence or isolation, teen pregnancy. And we thought from the beginning we really wanted to deal with this, because it's something some of us, or we know people who experience that, and we thought that it could be interesting to use the video game media to talk in a sensible way of those aspects of real life, and to talk about that and to bring that to attention.
What's interesting for me, obviously you guys are, you're a French studio, and yet the game is set in America, obviously. But then it feels like a lot of the things that are talked about here are things that could happen anywhere, and that happen to most teenagers anywhere, right?
Yes, yes, really. I think that some of those are universal, really, and either we've experienced that or we know someone who experienced that. And I think it's not only going in America, of course. It's broader than that. But also, it's a good point you were mentioning that we're a French studio. We didn't want it to make this American game that might not be well done by a French team. So we did really a lot of research, of documentation. We're working with an American writer who lives in San Francisco, and we looked at a lot of news articles and websites and blogs, and to really be sure that we are dealing with those issues in like I said, maybe in a sensible way, and because it's really important to do that right when you're dealing with those kind of subjects.
I mean, there is obviously there's a character called Kate who is suffering a lot at school because of something that somebody videoed at a party, essentially. Did you have any trepidation about approaching subjects like that, given that these things they're things that even teenagers are still coming to grips with, let alone the rest of us? Was there any trepidation about approaching these difficult subjects?
Yes, it's not easy to approach that, and we worked hard with our writer, with Christian Divine, to really be sure that we were doing it the right way. And at the end of the game, there is a link that Square Enix and that we did put that can bring the player to a page with links to associations or helps for maybe if some players have the feeling that they are really related to this and they could get maybe help for their. But the way, without spoiling everything of the scene, the way we dealt with this scene is trying to bring a positive message that if you care about a friend, if you care about your friends, you can really help them, and you can maybe sometimes do something and stop a bit of the bullying.
And what we really wanted to do also is to show that you're not alone with these kind of problems, and you can discuss about that with your friends. And this is really something we see from the community, which is great to see that there are things they are not alone. A lot of movies or games have helped us also in our life, and I think this is what we wanted to do, just to say you're not alone, you've got some difficulties, a lot of other students have some. Maybe you can just discuss about that.
Yeah, because the headline thing about Life is Strange, originally from the trailers, and that was this time rewind, this supernatural ability, and it turns out that a lot of the stuff that the game actually deals with is extremely normal and not supernatural at all. But why did you go with the decision to make it an episodic game? What were the advantages of that format?
It's really a good way to control the pacing and the rhythm and the narrative rhythm of an episode, because like Raoul said, we really know when the player starts and ends an episode, and we can end it, of course, like in TV shows with a cliffhanger, and it's really interesting. I think it's really good for the player because we've seen on Twitter, on Facebook, there is a lot of discussion going on about the game. Like, it really brings expectation and I think enjoyment for the players. When they're ending an episode, they talk about it together. They are really making theories and thinking how will it follow in the next episode. And I think that's why TV shows are so popular these days. There is this sense of community, and for us as creators, it's great, but it also allows us to take into account some of the feedbacks from the community. You know,
are you able to adapt between episodes a little bit?
Yes, the whole story arc is written.
Yeah, the whole story is written, but we still have the possibility to change some stuff depending on the public reaction. A new idea that comes up that's really good, we can still integrate it. And also some production event. Let's say we have a talent, we record the voiceover for the first episode. We notice that an actor is really good, so we can maybe add more scene that fits his personality for the upcoming episodes. So yeah, these are the good parts as well for the teams. We're still working on the game. The game is not finished. Mm-hmm. It's not the game that's complete and we just split in a few parts and make you wait for a few weeks between it. It's we're still working on it. So it's hard, but also it's really good because the team has perceived the real good feedbacks we had from the first episode. So it's like a moral boost. As soon as an episode is released, we see the reviews, the people reaction on Twitter. We spend nights reading the tweets of people who like the game. And yeah, it's really a moral boost for everyone. And also, there's the downside. Yeah, on the production perspective, it's really exhausting because the teams are working. Some are in the debug phase, and some other are in the middle of the production of an episode. And other are working on the what's going to be in the next episode. And it's a small team, so everything at the same time is it's kind of complicated to manage, and it's exhausting. It's like you have to ship 5 games
Yes,
in
really.
a few months.
So there is five.
Yeah, no problem.
episodes.
5 games, it's all good.
There is five sessions of recording the voice actors, 5 sessions of motion capture, 5 sessions of submissions to the publisher.
Yeah.
But it's in the end, it's really great. So because we think it's really a nice way to tell a story, and we are seeing that the players are liking. I really liking this way of.
It's an amazing adventure we share with the public, because if people want just to wait for the 5 episodes, they can wait, of course, and play everything in one run. But we love TV shows. We love to wait for the next week episode, and it's the same. I think people will gather around the game. More and more people, I hope, will jump on the train and wait for the next episodes. So yeah, it's a really unique experience.
So we're going to talk a bit more in depth about the choice and consequence system and how that works briefly before we do. Can we chat a little bit about the art design and the use of music? Because obviously there's quite a strong musical thread and quite a strong art direction, both in Life is Strange.
Yeah, I think it's like when we said about the way we created Max, that the same way for the art direction. We knew that we were having a game about the rewind and a game about choice and consequences with a nostalgic feeling. So we thought that a realistic rendering art style wouldn't be the best solution for this game, and we decided to have these hand-painted textures with a stylized rendering, because we really think that having this kind of visual can allow the player to put some of its own imagination, his own feelings or memories into the scene, into the characters. And I think it's a style that can keep the test of time. And as a digital game, it's a game that will be online for several years. And this kind of art style, it works well for this, and it brings this nostalgic mood and the kind of contemplative feeling we wanted for the game. But on top of this stylized rendering, we still have state-of-the-art lighting technology. We really worked hard on the lighting, because the light is something that's really, really important for the mood of the game, for this autumnal feeling, a bit like in a cocoon mood. Sorry. So yeah, that's why we went for this style of visuals, and it's a bit of the same approach for the music, about the nostalgic feeling. And
yeah, as you say, for the music, we use a lot of different artists.
All these ones, as it happens.
Since the beginning of the project, we use a lot of tracks, even on prototypes scene, we were putting some tracks of artists we like. And one of the artists was Jonathan Morali from the band, a French band, Scene Matters. So we contact him after we contact Square. Square allows us to contact him to ask if it will be okay if we use some tracks of Scene Matters band. This is the tracks you can hear, for example, in the corridor at the beginning of the game when Max is putting our headphones, or at the end of episode 1. And as we talk with him, it was a great pleasure for us to see that he loves the project. He loves the project, and
he's a huge gamer.
Yeah, he's a huge gamer. He's a huge Souls gamer. Yeah, Bloodborne. And so he wanted to be a part of the game itself. So we asked him if he wanted to do the score. So all the score of the game is done by him himself, because he's the head of the Scene Matters project. So we got on one side this score with a very, like you say, a nostalgic feeling and this autumnal feeling we wanted to keep, but also more dark scenes you can see in the next episodes. And having those licensed tracks, we really wanted to push to have some artists like this we like, and those kind of licensed tracks tell a lot about the characters also, because Chloe won't listen to the same music as Max or even Rachel. So this is really something we wanted to have. The fact that in a game the interactive aspect is really something unique. So we use a lot of layers on those songs to, for example, if you sit on a fountain, you will add we will add some layers to the music to be able to give rewards to the player who will take his time. Also, you can play some guitar when you play a song in your bedroom. You can play some guitar on top of this song, and it will be. So this is this kind of small details we wanted to add for the music and the sound design. So.
Yeah, there's a line, not spoilers. There's a line in episode 3 where Max is like, you know, you're down when you don't care about music. Which, yeah, obviously this game cares about music.
And
Exactly.
there's also we are using the music in the game in some way. Like for example, there was this scene in episode 1 when Chloe asks Max to put a CD in the hi-fi. So at first the music is coming from the speakers from in the room, but as soon as you exit the room and explore Chloe's house, the same music starts to be the score and to follow Max around in a way that brings this nostalgic feeling to the whole scene. So we can really use, and we're using the music in the game to really bring another narrative layer to the whole game.
So we're going to dive a bit deeper into how the choice and consequence system works now. But first, we have the story of what the game was originally, and we have some very early materials from the design docs and other stuff that's all quite interesting. So I will leave you guys to talk through that.
Yeah, for the title.
Yeah, so What If was the code name of the game when we started working on the project. And of course, when we signed the project with Square, we knew that we needed to find another title, because at this moment there was a movie with Daniel Radcliffe, I think, that was just coming out with the same title, What If, and our previous game was already a movie with Robert Pattinson, so we thought that it could be cool to have a new title. And Life is Strange was our idea for the title of the first episode of the game, but when we talked about it with Square, we saw that really it could be a great name for the whole series, because it's what Life is Strange is about. It's about life and about real life issues, and this is a title that really sums up the ideas of the game and could work for other seasons and for a series as a whole.
We have kind of like a lot of major choices, and actually, for example, one of them, this is a bit of a graph where you can see in the first episode when you're chilling out with Chloe, stepdad comes in, David, you actually can do a lot of different things there. So you can hide in the closet, you cannot hide on the closet. If you hide in the closet, you can, when David comes in and find the weed, you can go out and actually, take the blame, or you can let Chloe take the blame. And of course, that actually plays in a future episode on how actually you relate to Chloe, if she's still nice with you, or you actually went and come and defend her. So
this flowchart, there are 4 different outcomes from the same scene, essentially, but they all lead to the same conclusion.
Exactly. So we actually, after this, they all go to the cliff. But of course, what happened in this room is actually plays later on. So how you behave, how your relationship with David and your relationship with Chloe will affect future decisions and future episodes. So, and actually, I'm going to explain something a bit more complex, which is Kate's scene on episode 2. We got.
This is a spoiler if you haven't played
yes,
episode 2.
sorry for that.
Sorry.
Kate's scene. We get to a point of the relationship between Chloe and Kate when Chloe goes up on the roof and she finds Kate that's about to jump. So I'm going to explain a bit how that works in terms of complexity.
What are you doing here, Max? Stop! Don't come near me!
Not now. It won't work. I don't have any power. Now I have to do this by myself.
Did you come to get another Pulitzer shot like yesterday, Max?
So, as you can see here, basically this is the peak of the relationship between both of them. Max has been playing with her power during the whole day. So now when she gets up there, she's completely exhausted, so she cannot use any more of the power. But now she needs to, use her relationship with Kate, to actually help her and try to prevent this. So as soon as you go mad, of course, Kate comes to you and starts talking about what you've did with her before. So for example, the first episode, you can take a photo of her or help her with David. If you did help her with David, she'll know that you did that, and actually, you know, she remembers it. And
So the dialogue choices that you get in this scene, and in many scenes, the actual choices that you get depend on stuff that you've decided before, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So, for example, you can pick up the phone or not when you are with Chloe, second episode. If you didn't, then you need to excuse yourself why you didn't do this, why you were not for Kate at that moment. Then you need to be convincing. You need to really tell her that why was that reason. Then, of course, there's another section where she actually asks you if she could go to the police or wait or not go to the police. Mm-hmm. Again, if you did go there and say to her, you know, be supportive as a good friend, go to the police, I'll back you up no matter what happens to me, that could be dangerous maybe for you, but it will help Kate. So Kate will remember this and will chip in. And of course, there's you can do little things for Kate as well, which is removing the slate where people are trying nasty things about her, mm-hmm. or even removing a link to her video. Mm-hmm. Of course, you can bring this in the conversation and, you know, help Kate understand that you care for her, you really care for how she's doing, and you do understand and you actually want to be, you know, be there for her, actually. Then, of course, we come to a point of the conversation where she asks you how she should deal with this social bullying, you know, and then again, you need to tell her that she needs to remain strong, that you will be there for her.
And you can pick the wrong options in this.
Yes. Unfortunately, you know, you can...
Yeah, very bad stuff can happen at the end of the scene.
So, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes. But then again, it's all about how you care for Kate. Did you care a lot for Kate? Did you investigate everything that has to do with her life? We've been putting clues all around the place from first episode. You can see how people have been bullying it. For example, in the first episode, there's a scene where, first scene, someone throws something at Kate. If you go look on that paper, actually they talk about that video already on the first episode. And of course, if you actually, when you go to her room, you can look around and you can investigate about how her family is, and how she is. So for example, we just see that, for example, there is a picture of her sisters smiling with her. So that means that you shouldn't talk about her brother, her brother. Yeah. At this point, or even how her father, you actually care for her. And at the end, of course, she's quite religious. So if you look at the Bible, she actually has scratched a bit some of the entries.
You mean scratched out, like
yes,
with a pen?
Completely scratched out. And then underline some of it. And then you can answer these to actually bring this in, and hopefully save her at this point.
So it's some of this stuff is stuff that you as a player know because you've looked into it.
Yes.
And some of it's stuff that's the relationship between Max, the character, and Kate.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So you can see in this playthrough, we actually save her. But again, that's all how you play with her, how you relate to her. And that brings to a final conclusion. So after this, no matter what happens here, you get to the principal office. Of course, that scene plays, the mood is completely different, even though the scene is quite similar, but the mood is very different if she's alive or she's dead.
Now, I know today was difficult for everybody, but I'm so proud of the way Blackwell pulled together to save a young girl's life. Of course, you're quite a hero for getting Kate to come down, Max.
I didn't do much.
She's modest. Like a real hero.
Yeah, real hero.
As principal of Blackwell Academy, I take my duties seriously. I take the well-being of every student more seriously. What happened today should never happen in a hall of wisdom and knowledge. Mr. Madsen, as our head of security here, those roof doors should always be locked. That's just standard operating procedure. They were not, and that is indeed your responsibility. Mr. Jefferson, I know you can't be expected to know what your students are going through, but Kate has assisted you in class, so you should have known something was amiss. Mr. Prescott, since you are responsible for the Vortex Club parties, and since Miss Marsh did attend your last party, you'll have to answer some more questions. Miss Caulfield, why exactly were you on the roof with Kate Marsh? Did she tell you her plan? Or anything at all? Please, tell us everything.
So as you can see here, actually you can blame 3 different characters for what happened to Kate at this point. Everyone sees these three options, but actually what's beneath here is 6 different scenarios that can happen.
Oh, it's tiny text.
Yeah, I know. No worries, you're going to be able to see it soon. So as you can see here, that actually this scene is affected by 3 main choices that you did before. So that one there is actually, if you did talk to principal.
So this is 6 permutations based on 3 individual choices.
Exactly. So
this is 6 things this is
that
6 states that the game is in when you enter the scene.
Exactly.
All right.
So when you get in, depending on what you did before, so you get one of these scenarios. So if you play the game, we change these things, you get a completely different scenario. For example, this one here is like, did you denounce Nathan when you see him with a gun? Did you not? Then did you take the picture of David? Or actually you step in to help Kate? If you help Kate, then on the suicide scene, it's going to be easier to help her. But maybe here it's not going to be that easy. That one here is, did you take the blame for the weed or not? So, for example, this scenario here actually is about you did protect Nathan, so you didn't tell.
So
you didn't tell about the gun.
You didn't dob in Nathan.
You did
intervened with David.
Exactly.
And then you took the blame for the weed.
Exactly.
Right.
So what happens here is that, okay, let's go blame David. You blame David then because you don't have a picture. So David comes in and like, oh, you know, Max cannot be trusted because she's actually a drug dealer. So then everything goes against Max. Okay, let's try to blame Nathan in this case, yes? But you didn't talk about Nathan before. So why the principal should trust you now? And plus, David says, oh, you cannot trust Max because she's a drug dealer. So the only guy that actually you can blame is poor Jefferson.
Poor blameless Jefferson.
Exactly. You know, I mean, come on. He hasn't not anything wrong. So, but it's the only way out if you don't want to be expelled.
So the 2 things that can happen at the end of the scene is that either Max gets expelled or she doesn't.
Yes.
But depending on what you've done, then the way to make those 2 things happen is completely different.
So in this scene, what can happen is like Nathan can get expelled,
Uh-huh.
David can get suspended, Max can get suspended, and then Jefferson doesn't get to go to the art gallery.
Okay.
Friday. So, there you go.
Poor Jefferson.
So, yeah, that's how this actually works. So it's really complex. Even though if you see one, you may see, oh, there's always scripted, but no, it's actually taking every single decision.
So if everyone in this room is like me, you're desperately trying to read that little text to see which permutation you got. But I believe this picture will be out there, so don't worry if you can't currently.
So, and this is one on the second episode. Now, I'm going to show you this is for a future episode, so this is actually blurry, so you cannot read anything. Don't try, don't worry, you know.
Now I see the purpose of the tiny text.
Yeah, there you are. See? So this is actually one of the scenes on future episodes, and this is how complex these choices are. So we take every single detail and we bring it into the conversation and we bring it to the outcome. Actually, has like 4 different outcomes and all these to take into account before we get out of this. So everything comes from first episode to whatever this episode is. Yeah. And there you are.
So this sounds kind of like a nightmare to design for, though. Is it? Or have you found elegant? All right.
It is.
But how do you write around this? Like, what can you do to make all of this still make sense, even if there are 25
the idea was we began with a small amount of choices, and on each episode we had some, so okay, the tree is growing. But yeah, this is the whole idea of this game. We wanted really to have those small consequences aspect, and of course the long-term consequences that you can't expect. So the small-term consequences, as Alejandro talked about in the principle, you see, okay, this one is fired, what choice will I keep? Okay, I keep this one, but you don't know, of course, in maybe 2 episodes, if it will come back, and it will be another consequences that, of course, you don't expect at all. So this is kind of small, short-term and long-term consequences we really wanted to deal with, because, of course, the important is not really to make the choice, because it's difficult to make the choice at the moment, but it's really to live with it after and to try to continue episode after episode to live with those choices you have made maybe before. And of course, the rewind power is here to talk about that. And
I think as well, what's interesting is that there's no right or wrong. So the choices are actually what you think is right, what you think is wrong. There's no right or wrong in reality.
There's no correct answer to
exactly.
each choice.
So, you know, what could be good for now for me may be really bad for me in the future, or vice versa, you know. So that's what we always try to bring to any single choice that we design. So not right answers. There's never a right answer.
Yeah. And yes, actually, it's I think one of the main themes of the game is that at a point you have to accept your choices, to accept fate, and to live with it. And there is no perfect walkthrough in the game, like there is no perfect walkthrough in life. So that's really one of the main ideas behind this game. And yes, it's really hard to work on all these choices, because in the game, when you're playing the game, you've seen this small butterfly on the top left corner. Every time you see this butterfly, it means that you've made a decision that will impact your story at a point. So, and we are not lying. We are really using all those moments to change the game later, and it can be like you said, some really big changes, like some different characters, someone dying, but it's also a lot of smaller consequences, like getting a text message, having new lines in the dialogue, characters reacting to Max in a different way, receiving emails, characters who dress differently, change in environment, and so on. We are really, every time in the game, bringing your choices into the game. So this is really, you're playing a story that you really created based on what you did in the game.
Kate! I think we're all responsible for what happened.
Maybe Kate was so ashamed she got wasted on that video.
You really believe that Kate wanted to get drunk at a Vortex Club party?
Oh yeah! We just need to connect the players.
And find out more about who Rachel was involved with around here. Weird shit is going down at Blackwell. And I'm going to find out why.
We better find out what's in the principal's office first.
This is so cool! Check out that note. Rachel in the dark room.
What does this even mean? Holy shit! You can rewind if we get caught, right?
Okay, well, thank you very much to these lovely gentlemen. Let's give them a
Thank
large
you.
round of applause, please.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for coming. Once again, this is part of a series that BAFTA does on the creative industries. And for more, check out BAFTA's website. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.